Okay, before you begin Tai Chi, it's very important to align the posture. You want to have a straight posture so the energy flows well in the Tai Chi form. And one of the important aspects in Tai Chi is connecting with what's called the Heaven Chi. It's the flow from the head. Also, it keeps the body erect by keeping the head straight, and it connects you with the Heaven Chi from the byway point to the top of the head. So we imagine a thread, an imaginary thread holding the head up while you're doing the Tai Chi. So when you're moving in the form, it gives you the feeling that your head is connecting with the Heaven Chi. And the tailbone is tucked in. So sometimes we have it pushed out or thrust forward. It's just tucked in a little. Slight bend in the knees, slight bend in the arms, a little space between the armpits. And we don't thrust out the chest. We keep it upright, but it's not thrust. The chin is in. And so you have this posture, a slight bend in the knees. At the same time, it's very important you relax. It's recommended we smile during the practice because smiling relaxes us mentally and physically. And so in Tai Chi, it's very important to understand that relaxation is physical and mental. We want to have a deep, peaceful feeling while we're moving, and that opens the chi flow, that opens our channels. Okay, now we've aligned our body. Now it's important to become aware of how the body moves up and down. The body sinks and the body rises. Often in Tai Chi, we go up and we go down. Sinking is basically where the knees bend and we rise. But I would like you to think of sinking as occurring not as much from the knees bending, but think of the abdomen collapsing in. And as the abdomen collapses in, the feet gently press into the ground, the toes press into the ground. And then when you rise, try to isolate the movement with the hip and the pelvis, straightening the body. And think of, going back to the imaginary thread, think of the rising, pulling up this way from the head and the hips. So it's different if I bend my knees to sink and rise as opposed to collapsing the abdomen and then using the hips and pelvis to move upward. And as I move upward, the feet gently press into the ground, connecting with the earth chi, and the head draws up. So it's a simple thing, but it takes a little practice to use different muscles in the rising. And then when you get this way of sinking and rising, it gets the flow of yin-yang occurring. So you'll see in the Tai Chi form, we're always going down and we're going up. So you'll see in Tai Chi people using the hands. And when people begin, sometimes they tend to exaggerate the hand movements, the arm movements. And actually, we use the minimal effort and minimal movement in utilization of our hands. The hands often in Tai Chi are doing opposite motions. One is typically a yang hand, and it's usually the upward hand. One hand is a yin hand. It's important to remember that between the hand, it's like a connection of chi. If you do a little practice of expanding and pressing, expanding and pressing, as you press, there's a slight flex. As you expand, the hands relax. You get this feeling of a connection between the hands. So sometimes we're finding a ball in Tai Chi, and there's that connection going on between the hands. And sometimes it's stretching. It's moving in different ways. But even when the hands move in different ways, the connection of energy stays there. Again, it's not exaggerated. The hands remain relaxed in the Tai Chi form. When we're doing a pressing or a pushing, there's a slight flexing of the palm. Not the fingers as much as the palm. So you might see that occurring in a few moves. But it's important to remember to keep that connection of the energy. So eventually, or possibly in the beginning, you'll start to feel the connection between the hands. And they're connecting with different forces. When one hand is down, it's connecting with the earth chi. One hand is up, it's connecting with heaven chi. And sometimes they come together, and it's like blending yin and yang together as one. And sometimes they trade off. One hand is above, and one hand is below. And often you'll see the hands are making opposite movements. One is going up, one is going down. So there's one direction and another direction, and then sometimes the hands are going up and down and moving in opposite ways. So that makes 4 directions. So you'll feel actually the sensation between the hands eventually as you practice Tai Chi. And that sensation helps you to work with the chi flow and to gather chi and move chi through the body. So it's good to be aware of the hand movements. A lot of times when the hands move, it's mostly being done by the movement of the leg and the hips. So everything starts from the base. In terms of arms and elbows, sometimes we want to move our arm and in such a way, and instead of thinking of the whole arm moving, we initiate the motion from the elbow. So you see, in a motion like this, very little is being done with the hand. The elbow is just virtually turning, and the shoulder. And if the arm ever rises or lifts, we lift from the shoulder blade and the shoulder as much as possible, and the arm just stays. So it's a different feeling when the arm lifts from the shoulder and shoulder blade, as if there was no arm here, the shoulder was just moving up and lifting the arm. And that gives a unfurling and opening of the chi flow through the arms in the Tai Chi movements. So you'll see when we make movements, we want to always minimize the movements. We tend to think to lift an arm like that or move a hand like this, but just let the hands relax. Let the arm do the motion. And everything is a gentle transition. We try to avoid abrupt movements unless that's specifically in the form. So gently, if you have to move into another position, the wrists roll and the hand moves, and you'll see that kind of thing happening with the hands. Another thing you'll see is the hands being used to gather chi or move chi, much like in Qigong. Sometimes we're pressing down, the hands compacting chi. Sometimes it's drawing up. When it draws up, it's just relaxed. And that's drawing up the chi. The hands flex and press down. It compacts the chi. So you might see some motions where one hand is pressing slightly and one hand is drawing. The one drawing up is just relaxed. The one pushing down, it's like it's having to compact the density down, pressing. Then when it relaxes, it typically relaxes the fingers.